Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got a video here from Dr. Leemon Baird, and this was really interesting. And if you're wondering how things are going in terms of mass adoption, oh, it's coming. So I'm not going to show you the actual video, but I'm just going to go through what he actually said here. So got to post from Genfinity who kind of summed it up, and then I'll go into it in a little bit more detail. So he said, quote, "It's invisible for the person who doesn't know any better," unquote. "You won't manage your keys. You won't trust a single custodian. You won't even know it's happening. Open a bank account. You already have a wallet backed by other institutions." Okay, so I'm going to get into what he was saying here. So you kind of get the gist of it first and foremost, right? He's saying that you got to a point now where if you open up a bank account with a bank or a credit union, they're actually making it now so they will actually supply you with a crypto wallet. Just the standard. So you'll get a bank account and you'll also get a crypto wallet. Now, if that's not talking about mass adoption, I don't know what is. That's absolutely incredible. So from here on, people, you know, the younger generation and just people, even the older generation and, you know, the in between, people who just open up bank accounts from here on, they will just standardly get a crypto wallet. It's very possible that banks might at some point just assign a crypto wallet to people as well, right? They could just like backtrack and say, okay, everyone who's got a bank account, will just assign them a crypto wallet as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you have to use it, but you've just got it there, like you've got this crypto wallet. Now, this is one of the things that I wanted to get into, because I understand what people are first thinking when they hear about this. Oh, this isn't the essence of crypto. Obviously, the banks are giving you a crypto wallet, so in terms of KYC, they're going to know who it is, etc., etc. Yes, I absolutely do agree with that, but you've got to take the good with the bad here, right? Because this is the other thing that Dr. Leemon Baird said about this, right? He said, when you get this crypto wallet, it'll automatically have two other banks or credit unions. So it could be a bank and a credit union, or two banks or two credit unions, whatever, right? They will automatically also be assigned to support you with that wallet. So basically what he's saying here is, when you get this wallet, yes, obviously it is going to be KYC. They're going to know it obviously belongs to you, but you've now got the support of banks and institutions looking after the wallet. So you've now got that support of, you know, when we talk about rug pulls and that kind of thing, you'll have banks and stuff who will aid you with the wallet. So this is where when people talk about, you know, I don't like it, I do understand that. I do get that a lot of people want, you know, a crypto wallet where it's their own self-storage, their own self-custody. I understand that thought process, obviously, but this is where I've said in terms of like mass adoption, there's pros and cons to this, right? Like when you talk about people wanting crypto to get big and stuff like that, well, then you've got to understand that, yeah, institutions are going to get involved now. Yeah, institutions are going to start trying to make it to a degree a bit more centralized in terms of, you know, the banks are going to want to know who owns these wallets and stuff like that. Like if you think about now, you know, when you cash out in crypto, they're trying to make it now so that all the exchanges have to supply information to the IRS and to the HMRC and, you know, whatever tax, you know, local tax office is in your country. Like they're trying to make it so that you can't get away from the privacy aspect. You can't get away with that anymore. Like they're trying to make it so that if you're benefiting from crypto and you're making money, like, yes, they're going to want to know what your wallet is. So yes, you can try and tax evade, which I personally do not recommend whatsoever. I do not think that's a good idea. So please understand, I'm not, you know, trying to recommend you do that. I personally think that's a terrible idea. But I'm saying, like, you can try and do that, but you'll have a very difficult time. And this is where we talk about mass adoption. Like, when it comes to mass adoption, you have got to understand that, like, you are going to lose certain aspects. Like, for example, like things going onto the blockchain, you'll lose privacy, right? Because if people know what your wallet address is, they can see what you're doing with your crypto. They can see whatever cryptos you hold. They can see where you transfer it to. And if you, for example, start having a wallet where you use it for, you know, let's just say you get to a point where it's going to come, you start using like USDC as like a fiat currency. So for example, let's just say you're paying your bills via USDC, for example, or any other stable coin. Like, they'll be able to see that. So you'll have, like the local tax office will be able to watch what your transactions are and see exactly what you're doing. And if somebody else knows what your wallet is, like it could be a friend, right? Like once they know your wallet address, they can actually go and track your activity on your wallet. So like, yes, there is an aspect of crypto where it's like, that's not so great. Do you know what I mean? I don't really like that aspect of it. But then you have to think of all the huge benefits that come with it too. And so this is why I say, like, when it comes to this kind of thing, I think you've just got to understand that, like, it is like all about pros and cons, swings and roundabouts. Like there's positives, there's negatives. For me personally, I do think the positives massively outweigh the negatives. So that's my personal perspective. Obviously you guys can feel however you want to feel, but yeah, for me, I just think when you talk about mass adoption, and if you want to talk about how like value will be added to these cryptos over time, well, if they're making it now so as standard, you're getting a crypto wallet, this is the kind of stuff that, is going to help towards it being adopted. And this is the thing, right? Just a bit deeper into what Dr. Leemon Baird said, like, he said, like, if let's just say, for example, you don't like the bank who is helping you. So let's just say you are someone who's a bit more informed with crypto and you've got this wallet assigned to you and you say, well, who are the helpers? Like, who are the bankers or the credit unions that are helping me? And let's just say a bank that you like, I don't like that bank. I've had an issue with them before. I think they're shady, whatever. You can change it. You don't have to have that bank. You can assign it to another helper, right? So you don't have to stick with them. So if you do want to get a bit more complex with it because you understand how it works, you can change things around. So you do actually have control in that regard. But yeah, like I think this is massive. Like at the end of the day, if we're talking mass adoption, this is the kind of thing that is going to be huge for mass adoption. Because I said this before, you got to understand, like a lot of people are not going to want to really understand crypto. Like the people like me and you guys who are watching this video and stuff, who are like really into this, like we're kind of the ones who have got that, we've got enough of an intrigue to want to learn about it and want to know how to utilize it, right? Because I'll be honest with you, like when I first got into crypto, it was a minefield. And when you're having to worry about like making sure every character is correct so that you don't send the money into a black hole or whatever, because you'll just lose the money, like it can be a scary thing, right? Like whenever I'm doing transactions, like I'm very nervous because I'm trying to make sure like, is everything right? Like I haven't, I always do a test payment and stuff to make sure first, but you always have that bit of, nervousness when you're doing it in case you mess it up. So there is a certain element here where I can understand that there's going to be people who, they're not going to want to have to understand all this stuff. They're not going to want to understand how like there's certain networks and there's certain tokens for certain networks and how all the gas fees work and how they can differ to different networks and stuff like that, and understanding what Ethereum's GUI is for gas to what Hedera's just standard USD is to what XRP's token gas fee is. Like they're not going to want to understand all this. They just want stuff that works. And I've told you this before, like mass adoption is about having people who don't even understand crypto still being able to benefit and utilize it. That's what we're talking about with mass adoption, right? Mass adoption is when things are happening behind the scenes and you don't need to understand all the inner workings of it. You can just use it. Now, for the people who do want to understand it, yeah, absolutely, that's fine. They can obviously go and do their research and they can be a lot more experienced and be a lot more technical with how they utilize the technology. But you also want the average person who doesn't know how to use it, but they've still got the access, right? So if they've just been given a wallet and then they say, okay, I need to, do these transfers, they can go to the bank and they can help them. Or if they say, I had this thing happen with my wallet, okay, we'll look into that. Like we're watching the wallet, we're monitoring it, we can track it down, we can see what's happened, we can find out where the money's been off-ramped to, into what bank account, and then we might be able to freeze their bank account and recover the funds. Do you see what I mean? Like it's that kind of stuff. So this is the kind of things that for mass adoption people are going to want, because when you're in like the wild west and it's just like easy to lose your money and there's rug pulls and there's hacks and stuff like that, yeah, people are going to be scared, right? Because if you're investing like a lot of money and you're thinking you could just get hacked and that's it, that's scary. That's very scary. And so, like, they're going to want these kind of things like security. Like, when you think about your bank account, there's a certain level of money that you're protected, that you'll immediately get back. Like, even if, for example, the bank was to collapse, you get a certain level of money where they say, look, up to, like, for example, $80,000, you can just get that recovered without no questions asked. Legally, that will be the bare minimum that you'll get back. These are the kind of reassurances that people are going to want. Because if they don't get those kinds of reassurances, they'll be like, yeah, why am I getting involved in this then when I could just lose all my money? I'm not going to put all my life savings into this and then I get hacked and that's it, my money's gone. You know what I mean? So like these are the kind of things that are going to be big. So really intrigued about this. I do think that shows a big step forward, and I can see it. Like I can imagine banks like kind of even going to all their customers and just assigning them a crypto wallet. I can kind of see that happening, to be honest with you. It makes sense because it's not hard to create a crypto wallet. And then straight away, even for the banks, it's better because they then have the KYC element, right? So if you are using the wallet that they've assigned to you, straight away, it's like, okay, we know this activity is directly correlated to that customer. We know that it's that person who's running that crypto wallet. So it's going to be a lot easier for them. But yeah, as I say, it is going to be a thing where obviously KYC, that is obviously going to be there. So you have got to accept that, and they'll be able to monitor what you're doing. So, you have got to understand that. But again, it comes down to what do you want. If you'd rather not have that safety of what a bank can provide, then cool, you stick to your own self-custody, right? And for many people, I think that's what a lot of people will do. I think for me personally, I'll probably stick to my own self-custody. But for the people who are not as crypto savvy, don't really understand it yet, or don't want to, this is how they can still get involved. So this is how it still benefits us without them having to really understand what it is. So overall, I still think this is a huge positive. It shows you where we're going, crypto wallets being standard. And as I say, I do think eventually it will be a thing where, you'll be able to use your stable coins to pay for bills and stuff like that. Your gas bills, your mortgage, your electricity bills, etc. This will all be coming. So this is showing you how it's moving forward to that, where you haven't got to just have just a standard bank account now. You can have a crypto account and you can start to use that in time to pay off bills and, use services that the banks can provide. So yeah, very interesting. So I thought I'd share this with you. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.